again, everyone, welcome to 90s to Now. I am Jerry Strauss. And folks, we've talked about it for weeks here on 90s to Now, and we've had so many great musical guests. We've had everyone from Alexakis from Everclear on the show. We've had Treach from Naughty by Nature on the show. We've had the RZA from Wu-Tang Clan on the show. But it all, in my opinion, and for a lot of you, pales in comparison to the event that we are talking about coming up in October 13th. As a matter of fact, Friday in New York City, Stitch Bar and Blues is the place as the California Dreams Band returns. All of them, every single member together in one place, rocking the stage and meeting, greeting, and getting up close and personal with you all day long. It's the 90s Dreams Fan Fest. And we have another one of your dreams, everyone's dreams, right here on the show this week. Of course, he is so many things. Of course, an actor, a director, producer, an acting coach, a motivational speaker, and you know him, of course, from the California Dreams Band. Aaron Jackson's here, man. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm good. Great.
Thank you for that amazing intro. I didn't realize I'm all these things, so thank you very much.
You are many things, and I think that kind of speaks to just the diversity of your career that we got to talk about, because I think there's so many people who love you and know you and remember you from the California Dreams Band, but maybe not all fully aware of everything that you've done before, during, or since. So I want to start with the band itself, because you came in kind of, the band already existed. There was a bit of a turnover, and then you came in sort of in the middle of the run of the band back in the 90s. Kind of a new kid on the block. What was that process like for you? How did you come to be a part of the California Dreams Band?
It was a blessing, first and foremost. I had moved to LA when I was just a kid, right? And I just moved out there and got an agent, got a mentor, and I got the opportunity to meet up with Peter Engel and Franco Barrio and the team of Dreams and the band, and I auditioned, and right place, right time, and it was all such a whirlwind, to be quite honest with you. I mean, I wasn't there very long, and I was kind of, as you said, using your words, I was the new kid on the block, and I don't know what I did. I don't know who I smiled at, right, or what. I wasn't a very good actor. I wasn't really what they made me out to be. I was just a kid from Pittsburgh that was just blessed to have the opportunity, and they put me with the band. It's like, and like I watched the show, and that's what was funny. Like I watched the band, like I watched them, I listened to them, and it was part of something for a year and a half that I knew what it was, and then I had this opportunity I got to be in the band. That was the coolest thing. I remember calling my dad, and I was like, dude, I'm in the band.
That's awesome. Now, no, I think you're being a little bit modest saying you weren't a very good actor, but obviously you moved out to LA for a purpose. What was your actual acting background before this point?
I started when I was young. My dad, the amazing father, mentor, friend that he was, realized that I probably wasn't going to be a Rhodes Scholar. Probably realized that college was not really going to be a thing for me. I was the kid at 12 and 13 that I smoked and I rode motorcycles, and I got my first tattoo at 14, kind of thing. And so when I was young, I got my first film. I got my first lead role or big role in a movie called Lorenzo's Oil back in the early 90s. Late 80s, early 90s. And that kind of blossomed my career, to kind of put me out. I've done a lot of plays and a lot of musicals and stuff throughout middle school and the beginning part of high school. And I auditioned for a film called Lorenzo's Oil. And that first audition was I walked in there, and it was what we would know now as a producer's call. But back then it was an audition for me. I didn't know what it was. And I walked in the room, and there was this guy named Jack Nicholson in there, and this other guy by the name of Danny DeVito, and this lady, like redheaded lady named Susan Sarandon. No clue who she was. Nick Nolte was in there. George Miller, this like turns out later on to be like this massive director. And I didn't know any of these people. Tim Robbins was in there as well, and they were shooting 3 pictures in Pittsburgh. Valerie Bertinelli was there. And they're shooting all these pictures at one time. And Kenise Kennedy, which was the casting director back then in my hometown, she kind of found me. I was doing a play downtown Pittsburgh. She came up to me after a show, and she was like, "Hey, so we're auditioning this film. Don't know if you're a film actor or not, but we'd really like to, have you come out and audition for it." I'm like, yeah, whatever. So I got for this audition, and I ended up getting cast in 3 movies in one audition. I did Lorenzo's Oil, I did Bob Roberts with Tim Robbins, and then I did a film called Passed Away with Bob Hoskins, the late Bob Hoskins, and Tristan O'Tate. And then from there, like, I don't know, like I was a Hollywood kid, and I was doing this, I was getting picked up by cars and taking me to the set, and I had a set tutor, and missing high school. Like, this was like the coolest thing ever. Wait, you're going to pay me, and you're going to pay me not to go to high school? Dude, this is a dream come true. And then after that, it was kind of, I juggled this kind of what I want to do. And my father asked me what I wanted to do for life. And I said, honestly, I think I want to become an actor. And he goes, okay, what happens if that doesn't happen? And I said, I'm going to become an actor. And he goes, but what's your backup plan? And I'm like, I have no backup plan, pal. And he goes, you gotta have a backup plan. And the running gag is that I was going to become a plumber, and I was going to help everybody else flush their dreams down the toilet, because I had this dream and this aspiration that, because I got bit by the bug. I mean, I was 13 years old, not starring in a movie, but having a substantial enough role in a film that took me to other countries, and I got to go to a royal premiere in London, England, and then travel around the United States and do all these amazing things. By the time I was 14, and so I told myself, I think I'm going to pursue acting. So I kind of continued down that journey throughout high school, and doing as much as I could, local films, commercials, and doing everything. And I had done a handful of national commercials by that point. I'd worked for a small company called Pepsi. And I worked with Paul Rodriguez when he was Pepsi Man, and I got to do like 3 back-to-back commercials with him. And then I got to start in a PSA, a public service announcement, that went on to be this massive campaign throughout the 90s, billboards all over the country, and I was the star of this commercial. And it just and then it snowballed. So I went to a small college in London, England. Because that's really the only place I got in. My grades, I graduated with good grades, but I wasn't academically going to be, a Harvard, Yale, Pepperdine, or Duke kid. So I went to an acting school in London, England. And after being there, and I'll be very candid, at my age, and I look back on it, and I was a bit of a baby, but I was very homesick, like very homesick. So I did my time in the UK, and I came back to America. And my dad kind of what are you going to do, kid? So I was like, I saved all my money from the show or from the films, and bought a car, and I drove my Eagle Talon TSI Turbo. It was a T-top green, tan and green car, and my next door neighbor, and we moved to LA, and I lived in a duplex, this two room duplex, a little bit bigger than a studio, and I lived in Alhambra, California, which was on the other side of the world in comparison to Hollywood, and it was beyond South Pasadena, so it was an hour and change to get into town. And I got a manager, and the next thing I know, she sets me up with this audition to meet this little fella named Peter Engel, and he was like, wow, you're a good actor. Well, show me what you can do. So I got it, and a couple of callbacks later, and I was in the band. Just like that.
I gotta say, before we even continue, there's so much discussion in the world right now about the entertainment world, and it feels like a lot of it is surrounding sort of the disconnect between what success is and what financial success can be in Hollywood versus what people not in the business just assume it is. I think a lot of
Right.
people still kind of think you're in a movie, you're in a couple movies, you've made it, you're set. Like you were in movies that we saw. You're talking
Yeah.
about being in getting 3 roles, being in a national commercial, a PSA campaign, and your dad is still saying, "Well, what if you don't make
Right.
it?"
I mean, it's acting. If we break it down, right, to the foundation, the grassroots of what it is, acting is legalized schizophrenia without the process of medicine, right? I can tell myself that I can be anything and I can do anything, right? And if I believe it first, then I can get the audience to believe it. Like that. That's first and foremost, right? That is the mountain to get over. But
Yeah.
once you get over that mountain and you're actually kind of maybe talented and maybe you've got the right look, right? It's not about good looking, bad looking. It's truly about the right look, what they're looking for. And once you get past that and you get the headshots and you get the auditions, you get all that stuff. It's truly when you get in there, it's do they like you? Are you marketable? Right? And that road to hoe is I can't even say how hard that road is to hoe. I was blessed, and anyone that's known me for my band will tell you for 30 years, like we're blessed, right place, right time. We never took it for granted because you know we were lucky. We're lucky, right? So to make a career as an actor, it is not just you book a film, you make $1 million, and you're the next big thing. Yeah, those success stories happen, but for people like me, the rest of I'm 40 years into this industry, and I'm still not where I would like to be. I'm blessed. I've worked an awful lot of pictures in my life. I've been on an awful lot of television, a lot of plays. I've done a lot of directing. I've done that, but I'm still not. I'm not. I'm not an A-list actor. I'm not making millions of dollars per picture. It's job to job sometimes, man. So it's a tough road to hoe.
Well, I mean, it's really cool that beyond everything you're still going to accomplish and everything that you've talked about, that we've just scratched the surface of your career so far. Obviously this role, this part, this moment in time with California Dreams, with the band, is something that people are still remembering so fondly. And I'm really curious because, and we, as we said, we had J. Anthony Frankie on the show already, and we talked about him coming into the show, into the band in the middle as well, and we talked about that character, that role in the band that he played, which was it felt so distinctly fleshed out. We need the cool guy, we need the
Right.
guy with the leather jacket. This is the role we're filling. For you, for Mark, it felt very much the opposite, I think,
It,
which is
it,
interesting because you say, you're a kid, you're riding motorcycles, you're smoking,
right.
and you come into this and now you're playing like the innocent, clean cut kid. What was that like for you?
I had to fight for them to allow me to unbutton the top button of my shirt. Like literally, like I was like I was a kid, like I BMX'd all through high school, middle school, and I was a wrestler, and I did tough things. I rode a Harley, right? And then
Right.
here I am. I come in and I was put in as the all-American boy next door, right? And I, in the band, yeah, I got to sing a lot. But I never got the girl. Like in all the years, in 3 years with the band, I got the girl twice. Right,
Mm.
one she left me to be an Olympic skier, and then the other one, because of my actions, drinking and driving, I put her in the hospital. Right, so it was like, it was one of those like, it was one of those kind of weird characters, but I was I was a character that people seemed to love because I was, I think with Jay and with Michael and with William and myself and Brentley as well, all so relatable. Like everybody, like out of the 5 of us, out of those 5, band members, somebody could look, okay, I recognize with Jay Anthony, or I recognize with William, or I recognize with Michael or Aaron or Brent. And I was that kid that people just recognize that it's okay. Like you're not the coolest in the world. You don't always get the babe, and it was, well, for me, it was kind of a cool character. I mean, I don't want to say Mark, that I was nothing like Mark, because Mark was truly probably who I am on the inside, but I put on this persona of what I wanted people to think I was, with the tattoos and all of that I was this tough kid. I was a baby, man. I used to cry myself to sleep when I was in LA and I was on the show because my dad was in Pittsburgh. Like I'm mid, one on the show, 22, and literally crying at night because I missed my dad so much. And yet here I am, with this band and living the Hollywood dream, and it was like from dream to California dream for me. Like that was that. It was truly, and I had wanted to write a book about it, just my journey, and I should. Yeah. I really should. But so for me, I think taking on that part of the band, they were so popular at the time. The show was the band was so big, and I don't know that I felt that I really deserved it. Right? I don't know that they'd all they'd been there, done that. So being the new kid on the block was very scary for me, And then Diana and I came on the same time in the band, and Michael and William, Kelly and Jay and Jenny, they just it was instant family. And when I say instant family, I could literally, in the minute of this interview right now, I could call Jenny right now and we could pick it up where we left it off, and Michael and Jay. Obviously with Jay now, I think it's 7:30 a.m. tomorrow. No, 2 days in area, but nonetheless. So I was the new kid on the block, but very well received. And then you had mentioned, the popularity in the audience and everything else and all that. We have the best fans in the world. We do, and I think a lot of actors that do interviews, they say that about their fans, but our fans are they're like diehards, man. We're 32 years ago we aired, started, and now I came, into the band 30 years ago. Right. 30 years ago, March 11th is when I got in the band. I remember it. I remember the contracting. I remember every ounce of it, and then we started in the September is when when I was really truly airing in the band. So it's been amazing. But New Kid was tough. Truly was.
It's very palpable, the love and the support that fans still have for you guys, because we're feeling it. I'm feeling it, even, announcing that we're doing these episodes, and the buzz for the reunion is just so strong because people have been waiting for this.
It's
especially
real.
Yeah. And especially the fact that all of you, I believe this is for the first time, right? Every member of the band in the history of the band is getting together in one place.
In my 30 years, I've never met Heidi in 30 years.
Wow.
Right? I met Brent at the rap party of the band. Right. And there's one picture of me and Brent, Tiger Beat or Teen Machine, Super Teen, whatever. And it was with me, and Kelly was in it. Brent was in it. I believe Peter was in it, and my ex-wife. Wow. And that was the only time that Brent and I had ever actually really met. We were friends. We talk on, in social media world. We talk in interviews. We've done a lot. But this will be truly the first time that anyone in our fan world will ever see me and Brent together, right? And first time for me and Heidi. And I don't know that Diana has ever, outside of the rap party, met Heidi or Brent as well. So this is for us, I've got butterflies in my stomach, just because we got the band back together a couple years ago, but it wasn't everybody. It wasn't the family, and though Brent and I, or Heidi and I, weren't on the same, we weren't in the band together at the same time, we're still in the band, it's you're still a part of the band. And so I don't know. So I'm super, super, super stoked, to be in New York on October 13th. It's going to be amazing.
That's really awesome. We didn't touch on this when talking to Jay, but this is something I think a lot of people have been wondering for a really long time because we've heard over the years from those who have been on TV and been a part of sitcoms specifically that it can be a very comfortable schedule. It's days of some rehearsal and blocking, and then the end of the week is when things are recorded in
Right.
front of a studio audience or not, whatever the case may be. But you guys have this added element um, of music, of having to
Right.
go out there and, do your part to create those musical performances. How did that affect your schedule and your lifestyle during the days of the band? Like, was it a totally different animal?
To be quite honest with you, a lot of it had already been done. The groundwork had already been done by the time I got there. So a lot of songs that we sang in the band, they had already done a lot of the recording. So just kind of adding me in was just pretty easy. It was the few times the band performed. There was some new stuff, but I mean, it was for Kelly and Jenny and William and Brent and Heidi in the beginning. I know that schedule had to be hellacious. It had to have been because as you said, we get our scripts on Monday morning. We get them couriered over on the weekends, but Monday morning we go into a table read. It's pretty chill. You got 30 people sitting in a room. You got your band members sitting around you, and you read the script, and the writers are at the end of it. And if they like it, they circle it, and if they don't like it, they exit. If it gets a good laugh, they check it. Whatever. Um, and there was times, I'll be honest with you, there was times that we would have to do a joke, and it was something we didn't like as the character, like, yeah, I just don't like that line. So you try to tank it. You try to tank the joke on purpose. It doesn't hit. And the
Right.
writers knew that. And so they would circle it and check mark it anyway. And you get the rewrites the next day and still there. And, like, maybe like Friday, and you're like, what can I do to this line? How much more can I butcher it before you're going to cut it? But then we'd go down right after the table read, and we would start blocking. We'd get with Patrick or with our director at the times, and we would start blocking it. And because we had unit sets, and we had stationaries that were always going to be there. We always had Sharky's. We always had Lorena's place. We always had the classroom, and then we'd have a swing set, on the ends, and we would, work each scene in the space. And then we would wrap 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and we'd come back in the next day for rewrites and do the whole thing over again. Generally, the songs, we'd be rehearsing the songs throughout the blocking days, because we never sang live,
Right.
just because we taped in front of a live studio, and so we always did it to track. So it was just more so the blocking of that and making sure that we all knew, relearned our lyrics every week. They used to give them to us on the old cassette tapes, and here's all of us going back and forth to the studio and listening with our, AOL Walkmans or our Sony Walkmans as we're walking in there,
Right.
and just relearning our tunes. But you mentioned the live studio audience, and that was our Thursday was camera block day with all of the crew, and then
Mhm.
Friday we would record in the morning. We would do just a free recording, not a free, bad choice of word, but just like a no audience recording, and we would kind of work out location. So if we were in Lorena's place, we would film everything that was in Lorena's place because the cameras were set up there. We would go back and forth to the dressing rooms and change outfits so they could work out that one particular area.
Okay.
But then when we got the live studio audience that evening, we would actually film the episode in order. So we'd shoot it linearly. So we were running, the cameras were floating, and then we would go change, as the scenes evolved, we were, changing and to do an entire episode.
Yeah.
And the episodic world, when you're in the band like we were, the way that it was recorded was, I wasn't a television, kid. I didn't really know much about that side of the world. And like when they did that, I was like, huh, they're kind of editing this as we're doing it. This is kind of cool. And the audience is watching it, live in front of them. And it was a neat process. But the schedule, and on the weekends, that's when the schedule got crazy for us because Michael, Kelly, William, Jenny, and I, and Diana, anytime we could get out in front of our fans, whether it would have been with the Hollywood Knights playing basketball, or whether it had been, to some mall, in Tucumcari, New Mexico. Like, we were constantly traveling and meeting our fans. And a lot of times it was us kind of dividing. Like, we weren't like going as the band together. It was like, Aaron's going here, Kelly's going there, James going here, Michael, William, Jay, wherever. And it was, and then the schedule was 13, we'd shoot 13, 13 one season. We thought 33 another season. And then we thought 13 another. So we would shoot 4 off one, shoot 3 off one. We would wrap around, so it really is contingent. So some weeks were harder than others, because sometimes we were doing a show and a quarter or a show and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know if that answered the question. It was kind of, I went in a big circle.
No, well, it's interesting just to kind of get an insight into exactly what went into it. Because again, people think they know, but this was such a unique platform for you, because it was the acting, it was the music, it was a lot of things that you guys had to kind of deal with and master and perfect for every single episode. And I feel like a lot of that may have fueled, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you look at your career, and I'm just looking at a partial list, just a sampling of some of the things that you've gotten yourself into since the heyday of the California Dreams band. And we're talking again, directing, producing, acting coach, motivational speaking. You've been on the road doing that. Do you feel like that comes from just sort of being in the moment of all these things going on around you and having to do all these different things and getting a flavor for all these things? Did anything that you saw or experienced those days fuel where you've gone since then?
Of course. It all kind of started after the band. I hate to use this word because it sounds so bad. After the band broke up, because we did. I mean, that's just the reality of it. We broke up on wonderful terms, all of us. But it was like, what's next? Like, what do you do? And you're on, at the time, one of the #1 TNBC, band shows out there, and what's the next catapult? And it was rough for all of us, because I was Mark, Jay was Jake, Tony was, William. I mean, like, we and it's hard to kind of, I want to say, break that mold of who the audience knows us as, because that's our job as actors. But when you are in the household as much as our band was, right? And when we got into reruns, and then when Turner picked us up and we got into syndication, like, I remember just flicking the channels, and I was like, there it is again. There it is again. And it was like, we loved it. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't complaining, but it was everywhere. It was almost saturation. Yeah. So for me, it was like, how can I stay on this wave? How can I continue to do this? And one of the best things that I loved about being on the show with the band was that, like, people looked up to us. I don't know why. I don't. Like, I'm no different. Like, I get up in the morning the same way everybody else does, and I put my pants on 1 foot at a time. And sometimes I got to suck in my gun a little bit just to get the pants closed. And I was no different. But for some reason, we were looked at in a different light, which was, I wanted to try to use that light for good, instead of just making it about the Aaron Jackson, show, or the Aaron Jackson dynasty. I started motivational speaking, and drugs and alcohol and bullying was a huge thing for me. And it just, I was bullied a lot when I was a kid. And I watched a lot of the people that I was around, pre-Hollywood, in the drugs and the alcohol situation. And I wanted to make awareness for people. So I started it started off, I'll never forget it, in Grove City, in this small little middle school, where I was asked to come in and give a speech, just a motivational speech. And I did that. And then I went to Toursville, Pennsylvania. And then from Toursville, I went to here. And then I ended up literally living on the road. Like, I was in 285, speeches a year, in different high schools and middle schools. And I started speaking at colleges. Wow. In the midst of still doing films, because right after the band broke up, I got cast into a decent sized film I worked on a small picture called Children in the Cornfields of Terror, and even does his debut film, and a handful of other amazing iconic actors that were in this film. And so I did this while I'm still working on the road and doing all this. And then the next thing I know, like I turned in this small little motivational speaking into a full wide company. And I called Dangerous Words. I started a company called Dangerous Curves, which was my company, and then Dangerous Words for my cleaning company. And then I had logos, and I had jackets, and I had pins, and I had buttons, and I had stickers, and I had all of these things. And like I would go back into these schools, 3-4 years later, and these kids are still wearing my jackets or still having my pins, or so I made a difference. I didn't just want to sign a picture and be like, here you go, there's Aaron Jackson's signature. That in 30 cents is going to get you a cup of coffee. But me, one-on-one with a conversation, maybe I'm going to change your life. Maybe there's that one kid that needed to hear that you matter, that you're special, that you can do this. And so that's kind of it. And that just kind of dovetailed into me coaching acting. And then from there into directing. And then I've directed my share of some pictures over the last 10 years. And then, just to kind of get you to where I'm at today, my daughter, she was a senior in high school, and their drama teacher at their high school he wasn't there. Like they asked him to leave. And so my daughter, senior at the time, an actress at the time, had no theater program. So the headmaster at our school called me up on the phone. He's like, "Hey, Aaron, interested in teaching a year's worth of drama at a high school?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I am. I'm down with that. I'm down totally." So I talked to my daughter at the time. Now I had 2 daughters. Now I have 5 kids with my wife. She has 3 children. But my 2 daughters, it was one of those like, are you okay with this? Are you okay with your old man coming in and being a teacher in your school? And she's like, "Yeah, dude, bring it on." So I started teaching school, right? And then still now let me give you the rest of the story. I'm still directing, I'm still producing, I'm still doing all of this thing. And the next thing you know, now I'm punching in a time clock as a school teacher,
Right.
And then on the week, going out of town and doing this. And then all of a sudden this thing hit, COVID, right? And then COVID comes in, and that kind of just, and that was my first year teaching. I'm a first year teacher kind of scenario, and COVID comes in. Now 5 years later, I still teach high school. I teach drama. I teach film studies. I still coach actors. You're in the studio right now, so my students come to my studio, or I do them online, and then I still produce movies and I still direct movies, but also. And I still do motivational speaking, but I get to do it on a daily basis, to my youth in my school, and I can't say enough. I'm blessed, happily in love and in blessed,
and a collector, clearly, because you're gaining occupations and you're not dropping any. You just keep adding to the resume. And you haven't even dropped being part of the California Dreams band, because you guys are about to go back and get together and do that as well. So, I mean,
that's my icing on the cake right now. I'm like I'm telling you, I'm a schoolgirl of excitement. I cannot wait to get back together with the band. It's going to be the week is going to be. It's just like, I know the fans are like super jazzed about it, but for like us, it is going to be epic. Like it is just going to be, and to get, because we didn't have Jay the last time. Jay was across the pond, and and Brent and Diana and Heidi were not available. Now, boom, the heart of New York City, the Blues Bar, and it's like, there it is, the Stitch Blue Bar. It's going to be right there, all of us, all 7 of us.
And we talked about it with Jay, just blocks away from New York Comic Con. You guys are not ready for the amount of human energy that is coming your way. Not just the people excited for your event, but just all those people in the ether, in the atmosphere, who are going to be swarming in. Right. You're going to see some great costumes, and it's going to be just a massive humanity surrounding you guys for that entire thing. So it's going to be.
I openly arm embrace that. I hope they leave from the Comic-Con, come to us fully costumed out, and then I hope they drag us over there when we're done and we come hang out with them as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And of course, this goes down Friday. So this is like an all-day thing, Friday, October 13th, Stitch Bar and Blues. It's on West 37th in New York City. Again, it's just blocks away from Comic-Con, but you guys are doing the whole shebang. You're doing like you're doing a meet and greet where you can,
Yep.
see and get up close and personal with each and every one of you.
Yep.
So
All
that's going
9
to
of
be
us right in a row. Bam, bam, bam.
and I believe there's a Q&A session as part of this day as well. And then you guys are hitting the stage at night. And of course, Thomas Ian Nicholas and his
Yes.
band, who a lot of people know from the movies and, all kinds of things from the 90s till now, will be opening up for you guys and part of the whole
And
thing as well.
Thomas and I have one thing in common, right? And this
What's
is the coolest thing. You ready for this? So
Sure.
my girlfriend on the show, Tara Reid, right? His girlfriend in American Pie, Tara Reid. Boom, instant connection. I cannot. I'm so stoked to meet Thomas. Like he's like so supportive of what we're doing, and like totally is behind this, and like this like, and he's got this massive following as well. So it is truly going to be epic. Be with us. And you were talking about the meet and greets. We are doing the Q&A. We're doing cast photos, and then meet and greets with individual, and then a Q&A thereafter. And a small little break for us to go get changed and get gussied up to put on like this epic reunition of the band.
That's awesome. And I want to let people know, if they want to keep track of all the other million things that you're doing in addition to this amazing reunion, of course, your website's up. Is that where you would direct people to your website?
Yeah. My website, if you want to learn more about me, aaronjackson.com, or my Instagram or my Facebook, Aaron Jackson Official, or my Facebook just under my name. And I'm one of those ones, and so is everybody else in our cast, that if a fan finds me on Facebook or on Instagram or on TikTok, and they're asking, I immediately friend. I will literally go and sit down and have a chat with them, because if they're taking their time out of their day to find me and want to learn something about the show, or learn something about the band, or learn something about me, of course I'm going to take the time and spend it with them. So please find me on Instagram. It's one that says official. I don't know why we did that. Like the official Aaron Jackson. It's me, but apparently I'm official now.
But there's probably 6 others. That's why.
But it was the IMDb. Like that's where it all started. Like I didn't realize like how important a name was. IMDb when it started listing, I was the first Aaron Jackson. Now everyone else is like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So I'm like, cool. That's cool. I'm rocking the first one. Nice. Yeah.
That's awesome. Easy to find, always accessible. That's Aaron Jackson. That's our guest this time out. That's the entire California Dreams band. So make sure that you get over there for this epic reunion on October 13th in New York City.
All of us plus 2. Imagine Heidi and Brent right there with us. Just imagine their 2 heads, like right here. They're with us. All of them.
Awesome. We're looking forward to it. Everyone's looking forward to it, and we know you are too. And we can't wait to see you in New York City. We can't wait to talk to more members of the band right here on 90s to Now, which we will be doing in the near future. So guys, make sure you subscribe, like, share, do all the things to help us grow and get more eyeballs on these awesome conversations, because we're going to be talking to a lot of your friends coming up real soon too, and excited to do it. So as far as this has been amazing. Of course, thank you so much for sharing this sliver of your amazing life with us.
I've had a blessing.
Yeah, you too, man. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you all for being here this time out on 90s to Now. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Aaron.
Hey, guys.